Hey there, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally. I apologize. I hit the wrong button and sent the original Crock Pet Diet broadcast to the Facebook page. So we will get it uploaded uh, to the main Facebook page, that is. We'll get it uploaded to the group here shortly. But let's see if we can answer your questions for iPet's Ally. And you've got some good ones. First of all, May, so sorry that the meet and keep did not work out, but Spirit definitely told you what he thought about another dog coming into the house, and I'm sorry, but sometimes that's the best way for it to go. But the look of disappointment there is just too much. Green lip mussels, we'll talk about this in a second, Susan, and we'll sort of talk about inflammation in general. But I do want to make you aware you all are my best advocates, and I appreciate all that you do and all that you say about me. And we do have an affiliate program where if you send somebody to the site, a friend, somebody that's in a similar situation, we'll actually give you 10% of their purchase. And what that does for us is help increase our exposure to new people, and yeah, and then that way we kind of all win. We get more people on board. So thanks again for all your support this year, and I look forward to helping you all, and likewise next year as well in 22. NRF2 for dogs with inflammation. So part of you're getting overwhelmed because there's all these supplements out there for inflammation for pets, and so how do you chunk it down? So here's what I would say, Susan. Start with the basic stuff first. So if your main goal is to control inflammation, when we look at joint supplements, guess what's in almost every joint supplement for pets? New Zealand green lip mussels. So interestingly, glucosamine in and of itself is anti-inflammatory. And this thing I put together because it really does have all the right building blocks, and it is hypoallergenic, whereas using something like Arthur E's Gold is chicken flavored, that doesn't work out so well. So this one, the ingredients are a wee bit different, but again, all of our goal here is to control inflammation. So glucosamine, MSM, hyaluronic acid, help to reduce inflammation and improve the synthesis of collagen. Boswellian turmeric, again, more inflammation control. New Zealand green lip mussels, more inflammation control. Collagen type 2 is more for bones and joints, and N-acetylcysteine helps work as an antioxidant. So that's one you can look at, especially for pets that are inflamed and have joint issues. The next up is omega-3 fatty acids in high doses. So, if your pet is inflamed, the starting dose is something like 50 milligrams per day. But if there's a great deal of inflammation present, that's when 100 milligrams per kilogram per day is probably a better bet. And so here's a really interesting thing. I started amping my omega-3 dosage way up, so I'm taking 4 grams a day now. And for the first time in probably 20 years, my cholesterol is under 260. I mean, that's just astonishing, and things don't hurt as much, which is even more important. And then if it's VF omega-3 or another high quality omega-3 fatty acid supplement, this one has astaxanthin in it, which is why it is a little red, but that is another antioxidant that has more efficacy in the brain. And then, if the gut's not happy, you can take all the pills in the world, but you're not going to be able to overcome the inflammatory molecules being produced by the dysbiotic organisms. So whether that's phytospore or megaspore probiotic or whatever you have found that works in your pet, these are kind of the go-tos. And then lastly, turmeric is a profoundly powerful anti-inflammatory. You can do it in a product like this. You can do turmeric paste. There's all sorts of options. So that's kind of the go-to. And then what do you do if those aren't working? And that's where it gets difficult and interesting. And that's part of where I can come in, and we can tailor something to your specific pet. But there is thousands and thousands of supplements out there for pets, and a lot of them, frankly, are not at doses that are effective. So you really have to kind of feel your way through it. So I hope that's helpful. I know we are asking you what you want to do with iPets Ally, and so maybe this Tuesday, what we'll do is a deeper dive into inflammation so that you can understand it and kind of what might work. And what Bettina writes here is keeping a journal so that you can know, okay, this is helping or it's not helping. But that's a great way to know what's really worth spending money on and giving to your pet and what's not. So that's kind of where I would start. But for the vast majority of those of pets, Susan, using some sort of a joint supplement with green lip mussel, hyaluronic acid, high doses of omega-3 fatty acids, probiotics that help to kind of get things back under control, and then turmeric. Those are kind of the core anti-inflammatory supplements. And there's some others that I'm playing around with. So good, glad that's helpful. And Kathy is writing about Miss Dottie, who is indeed a wee bit on the thin side, but not too bad. So I would say adding 2 to 3 pounds would be really good. She's just a little bit too ribby. So if she's 30 pounds, maybe 33 pounds. And really, you want to be able to assess your pet's weight kind of by feel. So so you want to start with the ribs, if you can feel ribs with little to no pressure. So, that much pressure, my skin blanches very slightly, but not so much that you can see it. And then that's appropriate. You should not be able to feel any of the bony processes on the back. You shouldn't be able to really feel the hip bones. And on the reverse side, you should see a nice tucked up waist, and from the side, and then from the top you should see kind of dished a little waist there as well. So she offered you, so you were worried about her having pain because she was hesitating about getting into the car. She offered many options, which is great. And yeah, and it may take you 2 to 4 weeks to see a change with a joint supplement. So there's a couple of options, and one of them is certainly adding oil, because that may help gain weight. I know you've had some issues with liver enzymes coming up in the past, but you may want to try a wee bit and try something like grapeseed oil or avocado oil. Collagen definitely helps with keeping muscle on, and I would start at something like a teaspoon. Quinoa is great. Bananas get a little high in sugar because they're pretty tough. You can also use sweet potatoes. You can also use amaranth, which is more of will have a much smaller grain, so it'll have a more kind of a oatmeal type texture. Yeah, and Kathy, I would stick with one or the other, so quinoa or sweet potatoes. So try that, but definitely add a little food in to get some extra carbs in to get some weight back on. And then hopefully things will start to change with the being hesitant to get into the car. The other thing is you can make sure that it's not something she's gotten afraid of as well. But good for you from going from, I think, 41 pounds down to 30. We just got to bounce back up a wee bit. Um, as far as Kay is asking about her 8-year-old poodle mix on medication that has liver side effects, and she's already on Avada support and milk thistle. Are there any foods that you can use in crock pet? So this is where dark leafy greens are super helpful, and the brassica species in general. So those, those should be more of what you're adding into the food itself. And then just see where the lab results come back. The other option would be something like um, liposomal glutathione, because you've got quite a good program going on there. And then obviously seeing if you can reduce the medication. And then Susan asked about Abner having omega-3 fatty acids with lymphangiectasia. And the answer is yes, but you need to, because of his difficulty in absorbing fat, if you're using a highly concentrated product, I just realized, okay, so if you're using a highly concentrated product like this, one capsule may be sufficient to get his dose. And so that capsule is literally um, this size. They're tiny. So the volume of oil is not great, but start slow. So literally start with 1, 2 drops and gradually work your way up to a full capsule. But if he's, if our goal is to get to that 100 milligram per kilogram dose, um, you're looking at, if he's maybe 12 pounds, I'm not sure why that's in my brain, but it is. That's 5.45 kilos x 100. So that's 545 milligrams. And these capsules of VF omega-3 are 450 apiece. So strive for 1, and if that's working, work up slowly towards 2, because that's going to help reduce inflammation. So I hope, and potentially make his gut function better too. Let's see, let me pop back over here, and you guys can hear the exciting fireworks in the background, which is just freaking poor Ohio out. Let's see, and then Jamie's asking about, oh good, so I did remember his weight right, Susan. Susan's asking about these various supplements, and excuse me, Jamie is asking about these supplements. So reishi, shiitake, turkey tail, maitake, and acetylcysteine. Yeah, I mean, I think these are all good to go. The problem is the reishi mushroom is really high and sort of outweights everything else. So you could use this one. The doses of these are not too bad, and actually vitamin A may not be a bad thing to add in general. But I would go for something like 10,000 IUs. And I apologize, I can't remember the microgram conversion right off the top of my head, but I think 10,000 is about 2,500 micrograms. So check that out, because A is good for skin. And then as far as quercetin, yes, you can use 400 milligrams of quercetin, up to 2 of those up to 4 times a day. Now the problem is this has vitamin C, and so you may reach his bowel dose, meaning his stool would get loose very quickly. So once you may want to get like the now quercetin and bromelain product and kind of intersperse it, because you'd need 2 of these to get you to 400. He could take up to 1,000 milligrams total of quercetin up to 4 times a day and see if that gets the itch under control. And then this turkey tail product is 200 milligrams a piece. So I would, if that's a half a teaspoon, I would work on probably a dose of this plus a dose of the other product a couple of times a day. I was talking with another veterinarian, and she said that her beagle-ish sized dog was on 500 milligrams of cordyceps per day. and started having some pretty good improvement in some of the autoimmune issues. So start with that, work your way up, make sure he's not reacting to the mushrooms themselves. So I think that's there. And poor Mr. Willie is having a really not good time. So, Jamie, I think you're in a holding pattern, and unfortunately, the veterinarians that are working with you are as well. And so, I know Dr. Lisa had ordered the um, fecal transplant, but maybe talk to her. I mean, at this point, doxycycline and niacinamide aren't going to create a huge issue. Yeah, and you definitely don't need any help with loose stools. So, yeah, if you've got one that's just plain quercetin, use that. Um, that'll be better. But I think, it's time to throw the kitchen sink at him because he's really not having a good time from what you're describing. Um, and then do talk to Anya, even though that's scary, and he may tell you, this is this is no mas. But see if she can help you figure it out, and he may also be able to tell you what will help him as well. So I think it's worthwhile, as scary as that can be, just because from what you're describing here, he's suffering so much, and that's just not cool. So the other thing is the gabapentin definitely does make them feel goopy. Um, and so what benefit has that provided? And you may not know at this point because you're throwing so many different things at him. But you might consider stopping it for a day or so, because with Esau, after a couple of weeks on gabapentin, he was just like a zombie, and that's definitely not him. So see if that helps or doesn't help. The other thing you could ask Dr. Lisa about that she might be more receptive to is low dose naltrexone. And I can't remember if you've gone through that or not, but it's worthwhile because when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it doesn't cause any problems. So the big side effects in people are nightmares and kind of agitated feeling. It's something that, yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, sorry. Yeah, and this is the thing. The histiocytic sarcoma definitely has this pathway of like being the most awful cancer in the universe. So this is making a bit more sense to me that this is an autoimmune disease because Willie has been with us for so long. But yeah, I look at it low dose naltrexone. Um, I mean, this is when you just pull out all the stops because the conventional drugs aren't helping, and he really, really feels horrible. So check that out. LDN will take about 2 weeks usually to see an effect, although sometimes it can happen earlier and sometimes later. Now, we were asking you all, when is the best time for the iPets Ally for the monthly coaching session? And looks like at this point it's 3 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Central. If there's another time that works for you, just hit add an option. And then also, if there is a better day for you than Monday, please add that in as well as for the regular weekly broadcast, the iPets Ally broadcast. So let us know how we can better serve you. Um, yeah, and Susan, I think Jamie's been trying THC already, and I think that's offered some help, but not enough. Um, So yeah, low-dose naltrexone kind of comes in and out of favor. I've tried it a couple of times myself. I'm revisiting that here in Mexico, and I think it actually is helping, which is great. But it's interesting, the dose changed from 3 milligrams for humans to 4.5. And if I remember correctly, it was the same in dogs, was 3 milligrams. So it may be that a slightly higher dose would be needed. But it's a weird drug because naltrexone is um, the antidote to opioid overdose. So it seems to work in low doses by modulating a more normal response within the system. And so it's been super useful for people with autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia, um, MS, Parkinson's, and a couple of others. But it's relatively inexpensive. It's worth a shot because at this point, I think Mr. Willie needs all the help he can get. So what we'll talk about this Tuesday is actually inflammation, and interestingly, Susan Shires Coombs, it is also related to gut health and allergies. So we'll talk about some of the basic mechanisms Tuesday on inflammation and how we can kind of attack it, if you will. Let's see. So I think we went through this. Yes. So again, yeah, you could for Willie Willie size, you could do 1,000 milligrams up to 4 times a day without a problem. And then just kind of adjust the dose downward as you can. You will read in the literature that at super high doses, it can affect the kidneys. And I mean, that's in the literature. I've never seen it happen clinically. But, go to the top dose, see if it's helpful or not, so you can be clear, and then start to titrate down to what's most effective. And very beautiful puppy that Susan is going to be taking on. What a cutie pie. That's so great. All right, and I think that's what we've got for you today. So again, please tell us how we can make this better for you, because you have been so wonderful in supporting us over the year. We want to make sure we're actually doing things as best we can for you. I think that's pretty much it. We've got the Black Friday sale with up to 25% off of our products and 10% off of standard processed products. And that will run through the 30th, I think. And then we'll go from there. And again, if you have run out of holistic total body support, I think maybe Paul has a few secret bottles hidden away. I'm not sure, but do reach out to Hannah and Paul and they'll tell you what we've got left. So that's what I have for you this week. Much love to you all. Happy Thanksgiving. And until next week, give everybody a big hug for me. Thanks.